So today's lesson is called Lines Crossing and Balancing the Body. And I'd like you to start in standing, please. So just standing, begin to feel how your feet are supported by the floor. Notice which muscles attract your attention. And can you take your attention more deeply into your skeleton? Can you feel the bones supporting you? And in small or large ways, let your muscles relax into the support of your bones. And gently shift your weight onto your right leg and back to the middle. You don't have to pick your left leg up. Just shift your weight right and come back to the middle. And do this several times, bringing your attention to the feeling of sensations in your right side, your foot, your knee, your hip, pelvis and ribs and shoulders, as well as the sensations that begin to shift on the left side as you shift your weight over the right foot. What are the subtle sensations of movement that you experience with the right shifting? And after you've done that a few times to the right, shift to the left. Again, feeling. And this time as you go to the left, you have something to compare it to in your mind, so you can begin to notice the differences on how your left foot and leg accepts your weight. Does your pelvis shift or rotate differently as you align yourself over your left leg than when you went over your right leg? What do your ribs do? Do they lengthen or shorten on the sides? And then again, standing in the middle. And just shift your weight forward towards the balls of your feet and feel what the legs do, what your abdomen and pelvis does, your low back. As you shift forward and back, go all the way back to your heels. And just do this several times, just tuning into how standing feels. And take a moment to walk just a little bit around the room, just a few moments, kind of as a walking scan. This is where I am right now in my physical, sensory experience of my body, so that your brain has something to compare it to at the end. And then come back to your mats and lie down, please. And this is a visualization lesson, so there will be little, if any, movement. So at any time you need to during the lesson, just to roll your head a little side to side or bend your knees, or even to take a break lying on your side. Give yourself full permission to take care of yourself. Discomfort just becomes static and limits the learning that can take place during these lessons. And how young were we when we were taught to tolerate the static of discomfort to please our parents, our teachers, our role models, and behave accordingly. So in these lessons you have the freedom to behave unaccordingly to whatever and wherever your inner wisdom guides you. So with a line of thought, so just thinking, and maybe moving and tracking with your eyes, connect your right ankle to your left knee. And just notice the line going back and forth, connecting the right ankle with the left knee. You can notice what point on your ankle you chose, the inside or the outside, or the very back or the very front. It doesn't really matter. And you can see which point on your knee you chose for the connection point. And then bring your attention to the left ankle. And with a line of thought, connect your left ankle with your right knee. And notice where the two lines cross, the line between the right ankle and the left knee, and the left ankle and the right knee. And then shift your attention to just your right knee, connecting it with a line of thought to the tip of your left shoulder. And from the tip of your left shoulder to your right knee. And connect also your left knee to the tip of your right shoulder. And notice where those lines cross. And notice, does your line go over the top of your body, or does it go through your body? When you're connecting the line from your knee to your shoulder, are you imagining that line living within your physical system? Or does it travel across the top or maybe across the back side of your body? Just notice that. And some of you already have your knees bent. So if you don't have your knees bent, bend them up. And if it's comfortable to have your legs down long for a moment, bring them down so your knees are straight. And do the same thing, connecting the knee to the shoulder. And notice the difference in the lines, the different place that they cross. And again, with your knees up, is it more likely that that line will be outside of your body? Or if your tendency was to create a line inside your body, do you keep it going right through yourself? If your knees are bent, maybe from the tip of the knee to a part of the trunk, it's outside your body, and then it passes through your upper trunk and chest to your shoulder. And then go back into your more comfortable position, whether it's knees bent or legs long. And this time, bring your attention to your right foot, particularly the outside edge of your right heel, connecting that with the right big toe. So on the right foot, you're drawing a line of thought from the outside edge of your right heel to your right big toe, and the inside edge of your right heel to the little toe, and noticing where those lines cross. Across the sole of your foot, or passing within your foot. And as you notice these lines and you think these lines, every once in a while feel your breath. See if your jaw is soft, your eyebrows are relaxed. And then bring your attention to your left foot, crisscrossing the lines from the outside edge of the left foot to the big toe, the inside edge of the left heel to the little toe. And when you notice where those lines cross on the left foot, can you bring your attention to the crisscrossing lines on both feet? And do they cross in different places? So from the big toes to the outside edge of the heels on each foot, to the little toes to the inside edge of the heel, is there a different, even slightly, experience in how that happens, even though it's just with thought, from one side to the other? Now what if you went behind the left heel to the right big toe, and behind the right heel to the left big toe? Where do those lines cross? And bring your attention to your hip joints. Remembering where your hip joints actually live in your body. Let's do an anatomical check here real quick and put your hands where you think your hip joints are. And everyone here has been to class, except one of you. So most people will put their hands somewhere on their pelvis, because we use language like hands on our hips, but that's really the top of our pelvis. And the hip joint really lives in the crease. So if your legs are down long and you bend your knee up, where that bend is from your lower abdomen to your thigh is where your hip joint is. And it's deep in there. The hip joints aren't very far apart. They're only as far apart as your jaw joints, your TMJs. So if you were to put both your fingers up on the outside of your face just in front of your ears, that's not very far apart. And if you were to draw a line straight down to that crease in your legs, you'd find that your hip joints for most people are quite a bit closer together than you have been thinking all these years. Okay, so bring your attention just with thought to your left hip joint and connect it with your right knee, and your right hip joint and connect it with your left knee. And notice again, where do they cross? And what about your right hip joint and your left shoulder? And your left hip joint and your right shoulder? Do they cross on your chest or your stomach? Again, is it in front of you or back of you where they cross? Do they touch the outside tip of your shoulder, or are you imagining the deeper shoulder joint inside your body? And then just take a moment and pause. Rest the thinking of lines and the crossing of lines. Roll your head a little bit left and right. Make sure you're not getting a little bald baby spot on the back of your head. You might even bend your knees up and just rock your knees a little bit from side to side so the pressure changes on the back of your pelvis. Take a few nice full breaths. And then bring your legs back into a comfortable position. And bring your attention to the holes in your ears. And connect the hole of your left ear to your right shoulder. And the hole in the right ear to your left shoulder. Paying attention to where those lines cross. They cross somewhere in the throat or the neck. What's it like to imagine feeling those lines crossing somewhere in your neck and upper body? Then bring your attention to the corner of your mouth on the right and connect that to the left outside edge of your eye. The right corner of your mouth, and the left outside edge of your eye, of your left eye. And of course, the corner on the left of your mouth and the outside edge of your right eye. Noticing where they cross. And what's it like if you let them cross on the surface of your face as opposed to crossing within your face, through your jaw, behind your nose, sort of? Where is that crossing point? And then keeping your attention on the outside edge of your left eye, connect that to the corner, upper part of your right forehead, the forehead on your right, near the hairline and the temple area. So the outside edge of your left eye to the hairline on the right part of your forehead near your temple, and the outside edge of your right eye to the hairline temple region on the left side of your forehead. Again, are you as likely to cross the lines inside your forehead or on the surface? Does it change when you're on different body parts? Then bring your attention down from your face and focus on your right elbow, connecting a line from your right elbow to the tip of your left shoulder and your left elbow to the tip of your right shoulder. Right elbow, left shoulder tip, left elbow, right shoulder tip, paying attention to the crossing points. And what about the left elbow and the right hand? The right elbow and the left hand. And what part of your hand do you choose? Did you choose a point right in the center of your palm? Or on the back of your hand? Closer to one of your knuckles? If you choose these points from the elbow, maybe to different fingertips, the right elbow to the thumb and the left elbow to the thumb, noticing where they cross and comparing that to the elbow and the pinky maybe. Does it shift that crossing point even slightly? And then roll onto your stomachs, please. And if you're able to, place your forehead on the backs of your hands. So one hand on top of the other and the forehead on the backs of your hands. So you're looking down. You're not straining your neck or head either to the right or to the left, but creating a little bit of breathing room for your nose and your mouth. It usually is a little easier on your neck. If lying on your stomach is difficult, sometimes you can get more comfortable by placing a pillow under your lower abdomen, a little bit around your pelvis. And in this position, lying on your stomach, bring your attention to the outside edge of the heel on your right foot, drawing the line to the right big toe, the inside edge of your heel to the right little toe, noticing where they cross, and comparing it to the left side. So the outside edges of the heel crossing the sole of the same foot to the big and the little toe. And as you shift your attention from one foot to the other, is there a slightly different sensation or perception from one side to the other? And then connect the left big toe with the right heel, and the right big toe with the left heel. And noticing, where do you make those connections in your brain? Are you tracking with your eyes? Is your tongue moving at all? Are you just imagining it in your brain but not really bringing the idea or the thought all the way down to your foot? So after connecting the left big toe with the right heel and the right big toe with the left heel, then we'll shift To the right heel with the back of the left knee. The left heel with the back of the right knee. Again, noticing, paying particular attention to where those lines cross. Where between your lower legs is that crossing point. And sometimes that crossing point might be a little more to the right or a little more to the left. It might not always be right in the center. Or since you're the one making the lines, you might always imagine it perfectly symmetrical. Both have value. And then bring your attention to the back of the knee and draw the line to the opposite hip. Both knees going to opposite hips. And again, noticing where the lines cross. Where between the thighs. And just take a break from thinking for a moment and feel the breathing. Feel your weight on the ground. Feel the floor supporting you. What does it feel like to feel well-being pulsating in your body? This is your homework question. What does it feel like? What does well-being in my body feel like? Bring your attention down to the hip joint and cross over to the opposite shoulder blade. Not the shoulder, but the shoulder blade, which is kind of triangular shaped. And you want to connect the hip joint to the lowest point on the shoulder blade, the lower angle. It's kind of an upside down triangle. So just imagine, if you don't have a clear idea where that is, just imagine where it is and connect the opposite hip to the lowest point on the opposite shoulder blade. And notice again where they cross. Notice your tendency to cross them and draw those lines mentally inside of your body or on top of your body or underneath your body. And then draw a line from the top of the shoulder blade, the inside point of the top of the shoulder blade, so the point that's near your neck, to the lowest point on the opposite shoulder blade. So if you can't imagine the inside point of the shoulder blade, just somewhere on top there. And cross it to the opposite shoulder blade, that lowest point, that lower angle that we found last time. Cross one to the other and make note of the crossing point. And then again bring your attention to the highest point, the highest inside point of the shoulder blade, and connect with the opposite ear. Where does that cross? On the back of the neck or inside the neck or the head somewhere? The shoulder blade, the top of the shoulder blade, and the ear. And then connect the opposite elbow with the shoulders. Shoulders with the elbows. Depending on the position of your arms and hands, that crossing point will change. And then the elbows with the opposite hands. Just drawing that line. What about crossing the tip of the shoulder to the opposite heel? The tip of the other shoulder to the other opposite heel. Where does that cross? And then roll onto your backs and take a rest. And just lie for a minute, feeling how the floor supports you, how you let yourself be supported. The floor is always here, available to support you. It's just between you and your mind whether you let it support you or not. What does well-being in my body feel like? It's the first thing that pops into your mind. And then come up to sitting, please. And find as comfortable of a way as you can to sit, probably with your hands supporting behind you. If you're really comfortable sitting, maybe with your feet towards each other, not necessarily cross-legged, but the soles of your feet in approximation to each other. And if you're comfortable doing that without your hands behind you, that's fine. If it's more comfortable to lean back on your hands, that's fine. So really notice how you're resting through your sitting bones. Really feel the sits bones. Rock a little bit side to side so you know what I'm talking about. Those sits bones that support your spine and your shoulders and your neck. And then again mentally, connect the hip joints with the sits bones, opposite side. Hip joints, which as we discovered earlier are quite a bit down and in, narrower than we thought. How far are they really from those sits bones? And just draw the line from one to the other and notice where it crosses across your bottom side there. And then from your hip, connect your shoulders. And what's it like to connect the hip to the opposite shoulder across the front of your trunk? Where does that cross? Or the hips to the opposite shoulders across your back side. Is the crossing point higher or lower? And then, of course, right through your middle. And of course, remember, if sitting is just too uncomfortable and you're getting too much static, what do you do? What does your inner wisdom say? For optimal listening to that well-being pulsing inside of you, is there too much static when you're sitting? So give yourself permission to lie down if you need to. You can continue the imaginary lines lying. And then connect the lower points of those shoulder blades, that lower angle, with your opposite hip joint. Noticing where they cross. Connecting the upper part, the upper angle of the shoulder blade, the one near the neck, opposite to the lower angle of the shoulder blade. So the right upper angle with the left lower angle, and vice versa. Noticing where they cross. And again, is it more likely with the shoulder blades, because they're fairly superficial, to draw that line of your imagination across the surface of your back, or do you stay within your trunk? Where's your mental preference? And then go from the tip, the upper tip of the shoulder blade to the opposite ear. Noticing what part of your ear do you choose. Towards the beginning of the lesson, when we made the connection to the ear, I identified the hole in your ear. But you may have chosen the lobe of your ear, or where your earrings live in your ear. Just notice where you chose and make that connection, and notice where they cross, the tip of the shoulder blade to the ear, and then the tip of the shoulder blades to the knees, and where they cross. And if you haven't already, go ahead and lie down and rest for a moment. What is all of this crisscrossing for? What might be the resultant sensations? Not the thoughts, not what you think about it, but how it feels. So we're going to do a few more in standing. So go ahead and roll to your sides, taking your time to come to sitting and then standing. And then draw a mental line connecting your right shoulder with the opposite big toe. So your left big toe and the left shoulder with the right big toe. Notice if this is easy for you to do with your eyes closed, or if for balance you need to have your eyes open. And does opening your eyes in any way distract from being able to draw the mental line through your body from the shoulder to the opposite toe? And then draw the lines from the elbows to the knees, opposite knees and elbows. And what about drawing lines from opposite hands to hips? Now your hands rest at your side fairly close to your hips, so notice where that line crosses. From your left hand to your right hip and your right hand to your left hip. And then imagine your two collarbones and how the two collarbones, the clavicles, connected to the sternum, it sort of makes a T. So draw an imaginary line just straight across the left and right collarbones. Notice the middle of the sternum. And connect the middle of the sternum to the big toe on each side. And with those two lines coming from the middle of the sternum to each big toe, just gently, slowly, and thoughtfully shift your weight a little left and right. And really attend to the shifting direction and length of those lines. Remember to keep breathing freely. Let your neck and head stay soft. And pause in the middle. Connect your ears to the opposite knees. Feel where that crosses. And then shift your weight left and right. Feel that crossing point moving within you. And then pause again in the middle and connect the tip of your shoulder to your hip joints, opposite sides. Find that crossing point. And again, shift your weight a few times to the left and to the right. And then again, pause in the middle and just feel. Where does your mind go to that cueing of feeling? What does your mind feel? Notice, did your mind go to an area of discomfort? Is it checking it out to see if it's changed? Or can we begin to develop so many other sensations available, so many other curiosities and interests, that the mind has a much broader playground than that little spot of pain? And then just walk around a bit, take your time, feel your sensations, and continue to ponder on what well-being feels like.